Up next on Inside Champ Car, a look back at the 2022 longest day of Nelson Ledges. Welcome to this little experiment we call Inside Champ Car. My friend and soon-to-be not friend after the interview we're about to do, Bill Strong. I'm Brian Polanski. This week on the show, the 2022 longest day is in the books. We look back at a great 24 hours of racing. We'll hear from the race winners and our chat this week with the infamous Troy Truglio. How you doing, Bill? Have you recovered?
No. I stayed up pretty much until 3:15 or so. Went and laid down in my truck. Paulie said he'd come back in about 7. So I thought, well, maybe I'll get up at 6, kind of catch the sunrise, even though I think the sunrise is at 5 or something.
Yeah.
5:30, about 5:25, my alarm, my messenger goes off. It's Paulie, I'm ready. It's like, So,
yeah, because you told me 7, and that's when I came on, which is 4 a.m. my time, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
And I would have come on an hour and a half earlier because I'm working the overnight shift this week out here. So that would have been fine for me. But
I had to get all the cameras working. I think we did them at a higher bit rate this time, and we found out that there's a limitation on how much data we can shove into our servers. So, so basically I had to just go restart all the cameras, and everything popped up fine.
Good.
And Paul and I only yelled at each other once, and because he was right, and
I see that happening.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot of stress there. It's yelling helps fix things.
Does it?
So.
That's somehow that I missed that chapter in the manual.
Funny part was not really. I don't think it's yelling. I think we were typing.
Oh, you were doing the messenger yelling.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
God.
But yeah, it's and I didn't get much sleep, and I think Ray drove home, so I got a few hours sleep. He says I got more than a few, like double that, but
okay.
But yeah, I got home and I got up early yesterday, did a bunch of work, and this morning I got a phone call like at 9:00, and I'd still asleep.
Yeah.
Luckily, it was just one of our other employees, so. It's like,
those things tend to catch you out. At some point you can go and power through, but at one point, maybe it's the next day for you, or a couple days down the road, you just crash.
It's it, boom, crash. Yeah. And that's happened in the past. I mean, Doc and I used to stay up all night and do these races.
You're not as young as you once was.
No, it's a lot harder.
Yeah.
And I drank a lot of sweet tea.
Oh,
so that's probably why.
I don't like sweet tea. I don't like tea. Sorry. That's maybe why they kicked me out of Virginia. Go to California, you coffee drinking bum.
The weather was great. It was nice out there, and we had a little bit of rain to start the race with, but it wasn't. I wish we had more cars. We had 17 start the race, which was really good considering what we had up to that. Up to about a week or so out, and it was good. I mean, we didn't have cars start dropping out till much later than I anticipated, and we pretty much had most of the field there up until nighttime, and that's where we started having issues, which is always the case.
Right.
It was dark. Oh my God, it was dark. We still had a moon, but the clouds were kind of covering it up. But it was dark. I tried taking pictures. I failed miserably. I thought about getting the flash out because I had done some flash stuff there a couple of years back, but it was so dark. I didn't want to take a chance on, blinding somebody and them getting blamed for, because I seemed to be I thought I was the only photographer there. So I couldn't blame it on anybody else. So
have you done the long exposure with the lights at night thing?
I did do just a quick short one. My tripod was on the other side, and I just didn't really feel I'm going to get it. So I did some setup, just did some real quick things to do it. It's I didn't prepare properly to do the night stuff, and there's a lot of work to do for the other things that I have to do. So
I know we tend to forget that you're actually working.
Yeah. We have a show.
Yeah, there's all that stuff.
The marketing and helping to do some stuff on pit and with the event too. So Yeah, there's a lot going on, but it's fun. Everybody else got to go back to hotels, though. I chose not to.
Wow, you're such a martyr.
And no, it's just, you're there, and I know a lot of folks. This is a job. This is a passion of mine. I want to be at the racetrack. I want
Yeah,
to be around guys doing the racing. So
absolutely.
I like it. So yeah, we had a great race. RVA Graphics and Wraps did really well. Visceral Racing Group, they started out pretty well. They had some bunch of new drivers. I want to say Spec Miata, some HPDE guys, and didn't go well for them. One of their actually longtime drivers actually flipped the 959 Porsche
Ooh,
over one of the tire walls. It was a nice
ooh,
slow, and it landed on all four tires.
nice,
And they got it out and they drove it, continued racing with it.
nice.
It was insane. It's like there was nothing wrong with the car. We had some rain, so the ground wasn't really hard, so it didn't really do any damage to it.
Yeah,
But later on, I guess the driver on the one car, I guess trying to put in. He's got 3 laps to go before he has to come in, trying to get that fast lap.
right.
And I watched him go by me over at turn 4, and was just way offline. He was trying to take that high line around 4, which is the fast line, but probably not the preferred line in that car,
Yeah,
and just went straight off the track and straight into the tire bundles. I got some great pictures of tires flying through the air, but it goes down into a dip, so you couldn't see the car. You just saw the
yeah,
tires flying up in the air. And that pretty much finished the car for the weekend. And I think Ron called it quits after that because the drivers kept spinning the cars everywhere and just not well driven. And Ron's usually, or the teams are pretty good. And he just said, no, before we cause any more damage, we're done.
yeah,
And that's when RVA Graphics pretty much took over. And then Blake's Garage, man, they finished second, and
yep.
they ended up doing their best race ever and did really well. Atlanta Speedworks and their Porsche, they had to do a wheel bearing change. I think it was like it was 2 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
They had to do a wheel bearing change on that. And then Money Shift Racing had some problems early. They were out of the race for, I think, 30 minutes, 40 minutes or something like that, while they repaired a fire they had on their electrical system. They had a great video they posted up of I think the wiring going back to the fuel pump shorted and started a fire through the line, through the wiring. And they were able to get that repaired and back out, and they finished 4th. But that was one of the fastest cars out there.
Yeah, they almost had the fastest race lap. Their fastest lap was a 1 minute 15 second .957,
Yep.
and they did that 555 laps into the race, which I thought was pretty impressive. Now, the one car that did have just a slightly faster lap, and they did not have as good of an outcome. I think they probably dropped out a little earlier. Was the No Z in Mazda entry? They had a 115.144, so about a half.
And that's a Ecotech powered Mazda Miata.
Okay.
So it's
So
either Ecotech or it's a big engine
got
Mazda.
it. Yeah.
Yep.
So that was pretty cool to see all of that. I was able to hop on the broadcast for the last couple of hours, and it was really kind of cool to see everybody still doing their thing and having a good time. And like you said, that Money Shift car, we were talking about that for the whole last couple of hours. That thing was hooked up at the end.
Yep. And a car that was actually doing pretty well was a Banana Splits.
Yeah.
They were doing pretty well with that car up until the point they weren't. Sometime in the night, I want to say it was 1 or 12:30 at night, driver just went off and put it into the tire barrier or tire walls, and the tires actually went into crushed the window,
Mhm.
did a bunch of damage to suspension or whatever. They drove it back, and they got it out of the wall, and they drove it back to the pit lane, and got out, pulled the window out. I got a great set of pictures from that. They pulled the window out of it, and our rules allow you to go racing without a window as long as you have a hood. You have to have one of the two, a hood or a window, or window and hood. And they fixed the suspension, got it to where it would turn left and right pretty okay. I wouldn't say it was the best handling car, they said, but they were able to go out there, and they made it all the way till the morning, until at one point the left rear wheel decided it didn't want to stay on anymore. Whole brake system and everything just came off. And I'm pretty certain that had to do when they rolled the car over, because they did roll the car
Right.
when it. and I think it caught because when they came in, that wheel was pretty bent up and tire wasn't even attached. So they hit it and it rolled, and it I think put too much stress on the axle, and the lug nuts or the studs were all missing. So all kinds of issues there.
So it's funny. Just before I went to bed, I looked at my Facebook and I saw the pictures of the car with the spidered windshield, and I think there's a picture of it with the windshield out.
Right.
And then I went to sleep, and then I got up and I jumped on, and I'm like, that car's still on the racetrack.
Yeah.
I was not expecting that car to still be on the racetrack when.
All you have to do is have visors, and I've never driven a car like that, but Troy did.
Right.
And Troy actually told me a bunch of stuff from it, so I passed that info on to them. At one point, it's like, don't raise that visor.
It wasn't that I just thought it was too damaged. I mean, racing without a windshield sucks, but we've done it, But
it was an epic fit.
Pretty cool.
And then Gavoli's racing team, their BMW was super fast as well, 117s, and they have the oomph to win that race. They also had a really bad accident as well. Rolled that car multiple times. I'm waiting to get to see it. We're not going to make it public, but I'm waiting to see that one. And it was pretty bad. Driver got taken to hospital just to be looked at, and he ended up being okay.
Good.
Just shook up. But yeah, the car, everything in the car did exactly what it was supposed to do. I mean, that was a very well built car. Fuel cell. What I was amazed at was the driver's seat did not move.
Okay.
Cage moved in a couple of spots, but it had to. That's how it absorbed some of the punishment. Right. And the fuel cell, nothing moved in that fuel cell. Not 1 ounce of fluid leaked out of it. It's pretty awesome.
There you go.
So, yeah.
Good stuff.
So, always great stuff. Yeah.
All right. So you talked with all of the leaders, the top, I guess, 5, and the winner in EC.
Yep. And who called me George, by the way.
Yeah. Why?
I don't know. He thought my name was George. I didn't have my shirt with my name on. So
you didn't have the curious t-shirt on?
and the funny part was I'm wearing the Wittenauer t-shirt too. Thanks, guys.
Well, we'll talk about them after the interview.
But it was I think he did that to me the year before too. But yeah, let's go to that.
Let's go to that tape. This is all of your top 5 and your EC class winners from the longest day of Nelson Ledges.
Down here, Jack Woodfin, RVA Graphics and Wraps. Hell of a race, man. You guys did awesome this weekend.
Oh, Bill, that was a lot of fun. I would just want to say thank you to TireRack.com for putting this together. ChampCar, really appreciate all your stuff you do. Thanks to everybody that was driving today. Farron, Charles, Travis. Thanks to Sam and John for being here. Thanks to everybody back home. H.O., Donnie, and Justin's not here. Yeah. He had an Ace of Base concert he had to get to this weekend.
Oh, Ace of Base versus, the longest day and taking home a trophy.
Well, it happens. It happens. But, we had a great time. Track was amazing. This is such a fast track.
Oh, yeah, this is your first time here.
Yeah, we've never been here before. It is so fast.
So this would be first-time visitor, first-time winner.
That is correct. That is correct.
So what was it overnight? Was that super hard? This track is so dark.
Oh, it was incredibly dark. Fog would roll in on certain sections of the track and then clear up. Also, there was a raccoon that fell asleep on the track, and I was using it as the marker for the kink. So hopefully it woke up and got off the track. Wow. But yeah, it was super dark. The fog made it that much more challenging. So.
Wow. And daytime, you guys pretty much coasted towards the end there, but you were working.
Driving in a consistent, reasonable pace to take care of the car is not my skill set.
You had an incident overnight?
I did. I found some grass. The fog moved the track. I thought it was one place, and it was actually another, and end up backing the car slightly into a tire barrier. So I was able to drive it off, and everything was fine.
Well, luckily those tire barriers are pretty soft.
They are soft. I think some other teams found them not so soft this weekend, but anyway, thank you.
All right,
Bill.
Congratulations on your win here at Nelson Ledges.
Thank you, Bill.
All right, guys. Down here at Blake's Garage, second place here at the Money Shift Racing sponsored the longest day at Nelson. That was a tough night, and you can tell by the nose of your car, man. You've got grass, you're missing paint. You were going so fast, it looks like some of the paint came off.
Well, most of the paint wasn't on there to begin the race with, but yes, it was a long night, not a lot of sleep, fair amount of grass that we saw, but we got some grade A drivers that did a fantastic job.
So what's Blake's garage?
I'm Michael Blake, and this is the team. So we fixed the car in my garage.
So anything special for how you prepare a car for a 24-hour race?
New wheel bearings and a lot of extra oil.
You guys had that oil issue.
We didn't have too much oil consumption this race.
Oh, okay.
Last time at Nelson, we consumed 6 gallons of oil.
Whoa.
But, yeah, no.
So what was it like driving that car at night?
I actually didn't drive this time, which is probably why we did the best result we've ever had. But
don't you hate that?
But the drivers, some said they liked it, some said this was not fun at all at night.
Yeah.
The fog was quite scary at the kink specifically.
Any animals out there?
They said they saw a gopher. One driver called in a gopher. One driver called in a dead gopher later. So
he might have been sleeping.
Yeah, he may have been asleep.
All right, congratulations.
Thank
Second overall here. That's a hard one, man.
Yeah, we're very pleased. Thanks, Bill.
Blake's Garage. Who's going to talk?
I'll talk.
Huh? Atlanta Speedworks, third overall with that Porsche Boxster. That was a tough one, man. And you guys were not the fastest car out there, and you still were able to get on the podium.
Yeah, that was definitely a tortoise and the hare situation, but we knew we had a good, reliable car. It was just a matter of letting the race come to us, and we've run enough of these long races, 25-hour, 24-hour. We kind of knew that it was going to be about attrition, even with the the number of cars out on track, and that kind of worked out in our favor in the long run.
So not having the most powerful car out there, you got good mileage out of the car, gas-wise. You had a really good team. I watched them change tires and do the servicing on the car. Stepped up, man.
Yeah. I mean, we come from the IMSA world, and these guys have been in the racing world for a long time, so they're very well versed in taking care of issues when they arise. We had to replace a hub in the middle of the night. But yeah, I mean, other than that, the car was flawless. Drivers did great. It's fantastic to be racing with some of my buddies that I've known for decades, that we've raced together. So it was a lot of fun.
Are they going to stay friends with you, especially after those night stints? They were pretty dark out there.
Yeah, that was the worst part of it was actually between the deer crossing the track, the woodchuck that was taking a dirt nap out in the middle of the straightaway, and the fog. That was probably the most interesting part of it. The fog I was out there driving around. I'm like, how many cars could possibly be dropping wheels and putting this much dust up in the air? And then there's only 12 cars out there running at the time. And then I realized, oh, that's fog. So yeah, it added a whole element of excitement to everything when you're just going through corners blind. But yeah, in the end, we had a lot of fun.
I've raced here a lot, and it's dark, but I don't think I've seen it this dark.
Yeah, it was definitely dark out there. I think it rivals VIR in terms of lack of lumens out there. But yeah, we had a good time. The lights were good. Our helipagid stuff held up really well, and very happy to finish the race.
Yes, there you go. All right, congratulations, third place overall, Atlanta Speedworks. All right, guys. Good. Down here with Money Shift Racing, sponsor of today's the longest day at Nelson Ledges 24-hour. Thanks for helping us out here this weekend. But not only that, you guys are up on the podium. You did pretty good here.
Yeah, we threw some stuff together, came out to play, and had some troubles early and overcame, and here we are.
That car was really fast out there.
Car's really fast. We had a good fast driver lineup. I think that was a big part of it. We brought some guys out this race that are faster than me. So I owe a lot to our driver lineup. Adam Roberts, JP, Tony, Keith got a stint out there in an emergency role. Adrian, the young buck over here. They all went out and performed flawlessly. Did exactly what we needed them to do.
Cool. Tell us a little about Money Shift Racing.
So Money Shift Racing, we're a performance-focused repair shop in Willoughby, Ohio. Chris and I are the owners of the shop. We have 2 other employees back. Typical brakes, tires, alignments, custom alignments for those that need to get stuff ready for the track, whatever. We carry fuel jugs, brake fluids, gloves, shoes, whatever you need. So, yeah, check us out.
Cool. Hey, congratulations today, getting up here on the podium and putting on a good show for us.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, man. North by Northeast, fourth overall? Fifth overall, North by Northeast. Here at the Money Shift Racing, the longest day at Nelson. I'm looking at your car. You're sitting on the ground next to me because it's a long 24 hours. But your car is well lubed here in the back. What's up with that?
We like to make sure that everything is well lubricated, both inside and out. And as you can see by the outside, we like to add weight, not lighten. So, we're environmentalists.
Well, the nice part about it, you do have a lot of oil on it. There's not a lot of grass mixed in it like a lot of other folks have. You spent most of your time on the blacktop.
We did. I think we had one little grass excursion and one sort of making sure the tires were regulation size.
We actually claimed a splitter, but I don't know if that counts after the race. Do you still need the splitter to need to claim it?
So your splitter, was that the one that was found on track dead?
That should be in turn one.
Yeah, I heard about that one.
Yeah.
So who are your drivers this weekend?
So we have Steve, who's Steve and I own the team. Then we have AJ over here and David.
So
and we have, of course, Rich, the man who fixes absolutely everything. So he's kind of the hero for the weekend for sure.
So who had the night stints?
We did mostly.
So what was that like out there?
It's really dark here.
Yeah.
It's really dark, and then some fog comes in, and then you're not really sure where the corners are.
Well, I saw that.
That's always a good time.
I saw the moon come up, and oh, look, it's almost a full moon, but then it disappeared behind the clouds.
Yeah.
Darker.
Yeah, it was unbelievably dark out there. We've been told that it's really dark here. This could be the darkest place in the world.
I would say yes, because I've been to VIR, and I thought VIR dark was dark, but yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Congratulations, 5th place here at Nelson Ledges. That was a hard run.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Thanks, Bill.
Whose car?
My car.
Your car.
Not really my car. I'm just driving. But
Nichols Racing Mustang, our winner in EC this weekend. Man, that Mustang, man, it was on the track, off the track, in the paddock, in the pit lane, pretty much everywhere at this track. I think you'll get the most mileage everywhere here. So, but still, that was a really fast car. Did you have fun out there this weekend?
oh, tons of fun. I usually drive a spec Miata, so I'm used to a way different speed difference. And the Mustang's just a lot of fun to come out and have fun in. It was our first 24-hour race ever, so I think it was a success, even though we had a lot of hours outside of the car and we worked on the car for quite a bit of time. But I think it went over pretty good, and I'll call it a success.
Are you one of the younger guys on the team?
I am the youngest by a long shot.
So they're all back sleeping now, and you were put in charge of interviews?
I have not slept yet. So I'm I think 27 hours, 28 hours in, and I'll go home and have a nap, go watch IndyCar. We're at Toronto today, so.
There you go. Let me go talk to you. So, guys, that was a good race this weekend, winner of EC, and but you had to do a lot of work.
We did a lot of work. We had some issues with some lug nuts, unbelievable, $2 lug nut. And we had fuel pickup problems today. And you saw us in the pits, 4 out of the last 5 hours, but we were there with a checkered flag, weren't we?
And that's where it counts, man.
That's what it's all about, is finishing.
Now, you stole that checkered flag. I see you got a really cool checkered flag shirt.
I don't get to wear it very often. I wore it here one other time, and this is the second time. So thanks very much, George.
Who are your drivers this weekend?
We have Kirk Weatherman from northern Georgia. We have Rob Stahl from Pittsburgh. We have, of course, Chase from Canton, and Jim Van Zant from Hartville.
Cool. All right, congratulations, EC winner.
Thank you.
Thank you, George. Good race.
Wow, good stuff, Bill.
Yeah, that was it was hard to think on the fly because you've been up for so long, and I was starting to lose my voice, and it was loud. We planned on doing it on pit lane, but and doing it live, but the logistics got moved around, and I had to play along with the rules, and so. But yeah, hopefully you guys can hear that all right. But
So-
Wittenauer they did actually pretty well. They finished just outside the top 5 in 6th place, and they actually had a pretty darn good race.
I was going to say, they were our guests the week before. Nicest people in the world. I love the fact that mom, dad, brother, friends are all part of that team.
Yeah.
And they were just chugging along all race weekend and had a great outing. 6th place. Nothing to sneeze at there.
No, for over a 24-hour period this was a pretty stacked field. It wasn't, it wasn't one of those easy races. It was you had to fight for it.
Yeah, all good stuff. All good stuff. Anything else you want to share before we go?
Tim from Two Idiots in a Garage, Sheboygan Auto Helpers. He was doing pretty darn good. The car wasn't all that fast compared to some of the other cars out there, but they were chugging out there doing laps. And then all of a sudden, his clutch flywheel decided it did not want to stay attached to the engine.
Oh.
So I think it may, just talking to some folks, he had one of those underdrive front pulleys on it, and on the crank, and it may have been due to an imbalance and just caused, you get those little vibrations through the engine that you don't notice in a 6-hour race, but in a 6.25-hour race, things start exploding.
Exactly.
Exactly. And I think that's kind of what happened.
All right.
They'll get it fixed and back out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. You know what that means, Bill? You know what time it is?
Let me look. Oh, let me check. Oh, half past the front.
All right, so today's tech tip. Now, you're not close enough. Oh, everything just got blurry. Where'd you go, Bill? We don't show the video for these things, but Bill just got blurry. Anyway, this week's tech tip is a good one, and I'm looking forward to this one. You're not close enough to the coast to refer to it this way. We're going to talk about Earl. Earl.
So,
oil, by the way. That's oil.
So one of the things that I noticed was that you get some teams on pit lane. You get into, when you're working on a car, you want to be clean and you don't want to spill oil anywhere, and you want to do it right. So you have a funnel, you got a rag around it to wipe it up, and you're pouring it in, a tablespoon at a time, so you don't overfill it or whatever. And in racing, it's totally different. When you're new, you tend to do the same thing, but after a while, you really don't care. Just put it in there, get the car back out on track. So one of the things that we've learned over the years is, those little water bottles you get, and, they're really squeezy and whatever, but you can air dry those, clean them out, air dry them, and find the caps, always keep the caps, and then fill up those with oil. And what happens is, on a cold day, sometimes that really thick oil that you're racing, that 2050 that you're racing with, doesn't want to pour in very well. So you can just squeeze it in. The other thing is you don't need a funnel with it. You just stick this in the oil filler, the oil hole, and just squeeze and get it out. Get the guy out there. All you need is a half a quart. There you go. You need a whole quart, throw another one in. You can always overfill an engine just a wee bit. I mean, we run an extra quart in ours, and we still it's not even coming close to the crank spinning. So we always fill it up with more than we really need. And I think with the accumulator and the oil and the hidden oil coolers, I think we run like 8 quarts of oil in ours. So but yeah, you just makes it super simple to put the oil in. It makes it super quick.
Yeah.
It's easy to know how much you just put in, because you can see it and that's 12 ounces. And
then you can also pre-fill it with exactly how much you want.
Yeah.
Exactly. So if you only need half a quart, only put half a quart in. So when the hood comes up, you're not guessing like, oh, let me look. You just dump it all in.
And how much oil did you put in it? And the guy's writing down the notes for the race, and you can look down there and go, well, 2.
Yeah.
So that's a quart, So you have that. And you don't, and you have these guys that have like 50 hood pins on their car because that's what that's how race cars are built.
You just need 2 people. Sorry.
You just need to do like little flaps on the hood. Just make an access hole.
Oh,
flap on it so that you can pull the dipstick out, check it, and then also fill up the oil without actually having to take your hood off.
Make sure you put the hinge towards the front of the car.
makes it easier, because the other way is like a speed brake.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm Polish. I probably would make that mistake. That's good stuff. That's a great tech tip, Bill.
And it just makes it easier. And, it's like I said, when it's really cold, it's hard to oil, and you don't have to have, somebody's looking for a rag, somebody's looking for a funnel, because you always leave those in the trailer. You don't need all that. Just done.
And I would also suggest keep a pair of channel locks in your back pocket when you go to do this, because I always can't get the damn oil cap off.
Well, they're the 710 cap.
Yeah.
Yeah, channel locks are great, because a lot of times, and don't use metal, or those chromy caps. You know why? Because they're like 1,000,000 degrees.
Yep.
And the first thing you're going to do is grab it with your hand, and then you have 710 on your hand right here.
And they melt. I mean, they get so hot that if you put the channel locks on them, you can bend it and damage it.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So,
but we always have an extra, like gas caps and filler caps, because if you drop it on the ground, you can just grab one on the top of the toolbox and done, and then find it later.
Or even better, put that gas cap on pit wall so that you don't have to go get it out of the toolbox.
Or if you're not or if you're not really too worried about weight, just put it inside the engine bay.
Oh, yeah. But we used to have a little one of those little like totes that you take and you put like car cleaning supplies, and for every pit stop in that tote there would be an extra gas cap, there would be a handful of lug nuts, anything that you might need right there, and we just set it right on pit wall, and it was a lot easier than having to go over the wall and figure out which crate in the trailer is the thing I'm looking for.
And you're usually sending the guy that really shouldn't be going through your trailer, because you get back to your trailer and everything is outside
just destroyed.
Just destroyed,
yeah. So good stuff. Someday, Bill, we'll do the tech tip with my oil filling tech tip, which is not nearly as sexy as yours, but a good one nonetheless. So
it could be used in combination.
Yeah, absolutely.
It goes back to you just got a graduated not bucket. What do you call that?
It's a measuring cup.
Measuring cup, yeah.
I have a 5 quart, like you'd buy to do cooking. Now I guess we're going to do it. I went on Amazon, I found a 5 quart measuring cup that bakers use, like in a restaurant, and it's clear. And now I know when it says I got to put in 3.5 quarts or 4.5 quarts, I can actually measure it out, because I can't figure out how many quarts I've poured out of one of those gallon containers.
Right.
And I don't buy the individual quarts anymore.
Yeah, I don't either.
That's just a waste of, the little bit of I screw up the environment enough. I don't need 5 quarts in the trash can. I just want one big thing.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Yeah, I got a big 50-gallon drum that I put all my used oil in, and I just give it to the guys down the road that they use it to heat up their shops with.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
cool. All right. Anything else before we head to break?
No, just don't believe anything Troy says.
Oh, you guys, folks, if we
all lies.
We are always so respectful of Bill and his experiences, and we take everything he says to face value. It's like a reading from the book of Bill, chapter 4, verses 6 through 17. And we're going to learn the truth, the God's honest truth about Bill Strong, coming up next, right after this break on Inside ChampCar. Don't go away, folks. You are not going to want to miss this.
Every race weekend, you don't know what's going to happen. But with ChampCar.live, all the action comes right into your living room. The ChampCar Endurance Series is North America's home to real competitive endurance road racing. And ChampCar.live brings you live, full race coverage with in-car, trackside cameras, interviews, and expert commentary. And ChampCar.live brings you live, full race coverage with in-car and trackside cameras, interviews, and expert commentary. Check out ChampCar.live on the web, subscribe, and ring the bell so as not to miss a single minute of the action. It's fun, free, informative, and it's just a click away. ChampCar.live. Come check us out. We bring you a front row seat, but you'll only need the edge.
Welcome back to Inside ChampCar. He's Bill Strong. I'm Brian Belansky. And up next, the guy who's kind of connected to Bill at the hip. Troy Truglio is with us. Troy, I feel like I already know you. I mean, it's like it's a drinking game. I'm being told that every time Bill makes a Troy reference, people have to drink.
Drink, yes.
And so I'm going to drink a lot in the
there
next.
There are quite a few of them.
Troy Truglio, Biohazard Racing.
I've known Bill for about 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, a little over 20 years now.
And you admit to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a really long time.
Yeah,
we got to know each other through MR2s, and he ran the site, and I was one of the early ones and trying to do some crazy stuff with my car, him giving me weird ideas and me running with it.
There you go. So before we get to that, we all have a story of how we fell in love with cars and racing. What's your story?
Well, mine kind of starts with two wheels, I guess. I had dirt bikes, raced motocross for probably about 10 years. And they joke with age comes a cage, but I've had quite a few wrecks on bikes. You know, I have lots of stories of hurt this, hurt that, concussion that, back surgery here, there. And then so I got out of racing motorcycles, but I've always been into cars. I always wanted a cool car, so I wound up getting a MR2, which I don't know if that really defines cool car or not, but I thought it was.
I had a Fiero, so.
I got one. Yeah, see, I had a Fiero first, and then I sold that to my dad, and then I got an MR2, and I test drove a Acura NSX that day, and then I test drove the MR2, and the MR2 turbo felt more fun because it had the turbo. Plus, it was like 1/8 the price. So I'm like, okay, I could pay cash for this instead of being in debt forever in college. So yeah, so I started modifying it, playing with it, making it faster, and it was never enough, and did a ton of stuff with that, and then eventually did too much and kind of blew it up enough that I parted it out, sold it, and didn't have a car for a little while, and then I got like a Lotus Elise and played with that for a while, and then how my ChampCar thing came about was I went to a car show in Canada with Bill, and Bill and David were building a MR2. They were going to do the mod squad, which I was a moderator on the MR2 Form 2. And they're like, do it. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to get into something else. And then my wife, who obviously forgets all this, she's like, yeah, you should do it. You're not doing any motocross or anything. And I'm like, all right, I got the wife's approval, which she still denies. So I did jumped in with wait, David and Bill.
I think our wives were together on that because Amy told me, she says, you're just going to do one or two, you'll get tired of it and move on to something else. And it was about the same time.
Right. She's like, give it a try.
Yeah.
I said, all right, I'll give it a try. Went up to David's, help, work on the car here and there. And then I did that. And then Bill did his thing with me, which made me get a car. Have you told that story, Bill?
Yeah. But we'll tell it again.
Oh, okay.
So the reason for Biohazard is that I wanted to go do the Sebring race, but it was outside of our ring of tracks that we would do that our team had. We had like I don't know what the number was, to say a 1,000 mile range, and Sebring was beyond that range. So I decided, well, I'll build my own car. I have this ITA car here, and we'll convert it over to ChampCar, and did it. Troy came over and helped on it, and we raced it at VIR 24. And then when it came time, we hadn't decided. We raced at 24 at VIR with 4 guys, which we said we would never, ever do again because it was just so hard on 24 hours with 4 guys. And so we came up to the point of doing Sebring came up. It was announced, and I have to run Sebring. That's just a dream. And I sent out an email on the Friday saying, hey, I need, I'm going to run the Mark 1 at Sebring. I need 4 drivers. It was a 10-hour race or something. It wasn't very long. And of course, David gets back to me quick, me and Tommy and Rick. And of course, Troy and Kevin Tule from the Spec E46, they don't check their email as often as we do, because we live on the internet. Troy and Kevin do not.
Yeah, because we have a real job.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, he keeps telling me that over there. So Troy gets really
I can't just check my email all day because I have a job.
Troy gets really mad because he was involved with the build of the car.
Yeah, Troy went down and spent weekends going down on a Friday, spending all weekend working on the car, coming home, helping build the car, and then I don't even get to race it at Sebring. So yeah, I was mad.
No, that was you. You did that for VAR. So Sebring comes up, and so he just decides he's going to build his own car, and that's where Biohazard comes from.
Okay.
And and he's kind of dominated with that car up until recently. That car just won everything, it seemed like.
Yeah.
So Troy, did you and Bill connect through the MR2 website? Is that how you met each other?
Yeah, for the MR2 OC.
Okay.
Back in 2001.
Yeah, MR2 website, and we only live about 2 hours from each other.
Yep.
And we've done a couple car shows and stuff like that. And my wife and his wife can chat, and they can talk about how they hate the MR2.
Yep. So they did have a lot of fun going to, what was that thing we did at Summit Point with, we did ChampCar there, and some other thing was going on where they drift and do all that crazy stuff. What was that called?
Formula Drift?
Yeah, they do it in May. It's NASA, the Hyperfest.
Hyperfest.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. So that was going on out there, and I think they this was before we had all the kids, and so they were having fun doing that stuff while Troy and I were racing cars. But and Patty actually grew up a street over from me in San Diego, so there's a lot of ties there.
Interesting.
And but yeah, so Troy went out and built the Biohazard, but before that he was well known on the MR2. I think for a while there he had the highest horsepower Toyota MR2 in the world at one point.
Wow. And what was the horsepower on it?
Yeah.
What was it?
I think it was like 525.
Yeah,
but this was like 25 or 30 years ago when that was a big number.
Oh, it was.
Well, yeah, but I mean, still,
I still think I might have the highest revving car because I.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it revved. I revved it to 10,500 and didn't blow it up.
Oh my gosh.
So,
we were
that was my craziness.
Yeah, we were testing it one time. Remember, and the clutch decided it didn't want to stay in, and then we are not close to your house. And I'm just thinking the whole time, it's like, God, I'm not pushing this all the way back to your house, man. This is insane. That clutch just, I mean, it exploded all over the place. But we made it back.
So before we hit record, Troy, before we hit record, you mentioned that you'd listened to a couple of podcasts. And you mentioned that maybe Bill doesn't exactly tell the stories the way they should be told. Is there one in particular?
No, I would say probably half of them are missing some good context and embellishments, I would say.
Well, some of the context.
I'd say that's probably about accurate about 50% of the time.
It's good stuff. Good stuff. Because this is what we do. We all we try to do.
I just wish I was on the air. I'm like, wait. What?
Yeah.
So I'll tell you a funny Nelson Ledger story from this weekend if you want to hear it.
Oh yeah, bring it on.
Well, I try to mess up Bill on a regular basis, so you know where this is going.
Yes, I know where. So,
Bill's putting out his cameras in the morning, and it's probably like 7:30 or 8 in the morning, and I'm there. Nobody else is really around, and his truck is sitting there idling on pit lane, and he's like 100 feet away. So I sneak up quietly to his truck where he doesn't see me, and I sneak in and close the door real quiet, and I scoot down real low, and I put it in drive, and I start driving away really slow, and I'm looking out this back window, and eventually he notices, and he the look on his face was like pure terror. And then he's got this orange jumpsuit on. He jumps the wall, which I didn't, and he runs pretty fast. So I didn't know he could run that fast. So then I start giving it a little bit more gas slowly. So it starts running down. So he thinks there's nobody in it and he left it in drive. And then eventually he catches up. He looks inside and I'm like, and I look at him smiling and I wave and he's like, oh, he was so mad. It was so funny though.
So
I found it funny.
I don't drive automatic. I
So.
didn't drive automatics all that much, and it's mostly sticks. And so I still have this habit of just jumping out and forgetting to put it in the park. And that's the fear I had. The fear though was that, that instant that you think, oh shit, the it's rolling away. That big diesel engine is going to push over that, the Flaggers Tower at Nelson Ledges and hit the bridge and somehow knock that over. And I'm going to be responsible for the, for ChampCar owing, ChampCar wouldn't do it. It would be me, owing all this money to fix up this track. And I'm just thinking, oh my God. And this is all within a millisecond. And as I'm jumping over the, the pit wall, and then I see his little bald head duck down low in the seat. I just knew it. I knew it. I was so mad. It was funny though. It was funny.
Gosh, I wish there was video.
It's funny. So that's the stuff that we have to do. Yeah.
A lot of people.
I know. And it's what I was so mad at myself because I had my phone in my pocket. I could have videotaped the whole thing, but no, I wasn't thinking. I was just thinking of this is going to be funny. But yeah.
That's the problem, though, with our generation. We execute the best pranks, but we forget to turn on the video cameras. So, in truth, it probably doesn't even happen.
Yeah.
I've also had him take he has these little biohazard, these little red stickers, and he convinced my son to help him out. And at a race one weekend, and I swear I'm still finding biohazard stickers on my car and trailers. But they must have used a few thousand of these stickers all over my car, hidden in places.
Just probably 20. See, this is another exaggeration, Bill. Probably 20 of them. You're just not good at finding anything.
No, there's a lot of them.
But you got to put them in weird spots, like the glove box when you open it up. How often do you go in a glove box? So it might be 6 months before he finds that one.
Exactly.
That's why you got to fill the glove box with Cheerios.
You have a good Nelson Ledges story from years ago. Remember when we raced there with ChampCar in the fog? It either ChampCar.
Yeah, that's my favorite one.
Tell that one.
So yeah, I could tell that one.
Yeah.
So it was a 24 or 25-hour race at Nelson's. And at Nelson Ledges, it's in a swamp. Literally, it's in a swamp. If nobody's ever been there, if it rains, the track gets covered if it rains too much. So at night, fog comes in, and it's pretty often that fog comes in. We'll have a yellow and whatever. But we're doing a 24-hour race, and I get the 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. stint where you got to sit in the pits and you got to wait and with the radio and you're supposed to stay awake, which you do sometimes not. But I'm sitting there awake, and then this a team comes in that's 2 pit stalls down from me, and they pull in, and the guy pulls in, and he gets out, and he's looking, and none of his crew is there. He's like, "Oh crap!" And there's a guy walking by, and the guy says, "Do you need help or something?" And he's like, "Yeah." So he runs and grabs his stuff, which was I don't know from where, and he grabs his stuff, and he helps the guy fuel. And he's ready to go, and his team's still not there. And he asks the guy, he's like, "Hey, do you want to get in?" He's like, "Sure, I'll get in." So he gets in the car and he goes out. No idea who he is or anything, just gets in the car and goes out. And then he sits down, he starts getting a drink, and his team shows up. His team starts talking with them. He starts giving them advice and saying what he did. And then a good bit in the conversation, he's like John or whoever it was, who's in the car? And the guy's like, "I have no idea." It's like, "What do you mean you have no idea?" It's like, "Well, none of y'all were here, and this guy helped me, so I offered him the car." And they're all like, "What?" They're all mad. So, and they're like, "Well, radio him in." He's like, "Doesn't have a radio." He's like, "Well, he's doing his stint." So he goes out and does his whole stint, and then he finally comes in at the 2-hour mark, which was nice enough. I'm assuming it was 2 hours. I was supposed to sleep at this point, but I'm like, no, I got to see how this ends. So I stay awake, and I get there, and then the fog's coming, so they're doing their thing, and then the guy comes in and pits, and then the team is there, and the team jumps out and does the fuel and fire bottle, and he waves to him, and he just walks off into the pits into the fog. And I don't know. I never saw him again. Maybe he went and found the team later or something, but just went into the fog, and we never saw him again. We're like, who was that? They don't even know who it was. They talked about it later. Like, I don't even know who this guy was. So I thought it was hilarious that happened, and I just got to witness it.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So those are the kind of fun things that happen in the middle of the night in ChampCar races. If anybody's ever 2-1 and does a 24, you just got to stay up and see the debacle that happens.
Yeah,
lots of debauchery. So tell me about this 60s Mini that's on an MR2 chassis.
Your Mini.
There you go. I saw in a magazine that somebody took a Austin Mini, and they took the body off and put it on Mark I, like a first generation MR2. And I thought it was the coolest thing. So I found this guy. I called him and I said, hey, I want to do that too. And I talked to him for a bit, and he's like, yeah, I might do some molds from it and then sell the molds, and then you could do it. And he kind of gave me some tips. And I guess he, whoever knows with stuff like that he never made the molds or anything like that. So I was like, all right. And then one day I'm looking on eBay, and I see a little Mini Cooper from England. Somebody's selling it, like no reserve auction. So I bid on it, and I won it for like $800, but it was a complete rust. So I just really wanted the body. So then I took a second generation MR2, which is the one I raced. I cut the whole body off. Well, first we put a V6 in it, because why would you want a 4-cylinder when you can have a V6? So we swapped the V6 in it. Then we cut the whole body off. And then I cut the car in half, literally in half. And then I cut 6 inches out of it, the fuel tank and everything, cut 6 inches out, put it back together to make the wheelbase shorter, and welded it all back in, welded a cage in, and then I put the Mini body on top of it. And then made my, I took some two-piece foam and cardboard. So I made some, the fender flares and the body kit, and just kind of sculpted it out of this big giant foam mess. Then fiberglass on top, and then did some stuff to make it, paint and all. But it's a little mid-engine V6 Mini with like an MR2 interior and MR2 chassis.
That sounds
kind of
awesome.
The quick of it.
And it's pretty damn awesome too.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'll drive it around once in a blue moon. Go to a car show or something. I don't enter it in car shows. I just go and park it and then look at all the cars and leave. And then everybody goes in the parking lot and looks at it. And then I'm like, yeah, I'm not in the car show. I'm not paying. I never understood. You want me to pay so you can get people to come and look at my car? No, I'm not doing that. Can't do it on principle.
So you were the
2017
Eastern champ for ChampCar. Randy Popst was, I'm guessing, co-driver, right?
Yeah. He co-drove. He drove a bunch in the rain. We'll thank him for that. So Randy, it was me, Randy, and Jerry for that weekend. And the crazy thing is I couldn't get drivers. So it was just me and Jerry. And then Randy's there, and he's like, you need a driver? I'm like, yeah, get in the car. He's like, okay. So and that's his home track, which is like 10 minutes from his house or something. So
which track was it? Was that Atlanta?
Yeah, we did win the championship. AMP. Yeah, it's in Atlanta.
Yeah.
AMP.
So he just happened to be there. I wasn't sure how he ended up in the car. That's cool.
No, yeah.
I may have asked him, or he asked me. He's contacted me before. He's driven for me a couple times. He drove for me at Sebring, and then another time. He's really good. Like, I'll have him fill out a whole sheet and everything for giving a car feedback, and then so I made up a whole big sheet of like, okay, how's the braking in turn one? What can you improve? What do you need? And he gives a ton of feedback on the car of what to do to make it improve. He's like, okay, you'll need a little bit more dampening in the left front. I'm like, well, we're a ChampCar, we can't adjust that. But okay, that's good tip. Next one, stuff like that.
Cool. All right, so before we get out of this thing, I need one more good Bill story.
No. We got to talk about the mentor program.
Oh, I forgot about that. How could Bill? You're supposed to keep me on track.
That's why I'm here. So Troy,
Oh yeah.
Troy volunteered to help us with the mentor program that we have with ChampCar, and tell us a little about that, Troy.
All right. So, I was thinking, how can we get new members? And when you're at the track, I've pitted next to so many new teams that their first or second race, and they don't know what to do, or they don't feel comfortable what to do. And so I was thinking, how can we help foster new teams come up? Because you always hear a guy talking about, oh, I'm building this car on the forum, and then you never hear about him again. And I'm like, oh, what happened? So the roadblocks to do it. So we have a program where you have mentors and mentees, and depending on your level, like you could be a mentor as a driver level or as a car building level, and you could get help both ways. But whenever we're building a new car, trying to get into racing, there's so many hurdles that you feel like they're completely daunting, and you can't control. You're out of your control. You're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And I'm going to fail or what have you. So getting a mentor on your side will help you kind of handle the roadblocks that you think will happen, or they'll be able to kind of guide you with questions, and you can kind of say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. And they might be like, nope, that's a terrible idea. Bill Strong has done that and it fails. So don't do that. So stuff like that is where it can help. Or a new guy that's never raced before and he wants to see what it's about. He's like, I want to get in a car race and I see it and I don't know what it is. So you could get with the team or a person that's like, hey, come on out and hang out with us. Let's see what the race is. I'll tell you what what gear and stuff to get. I'll explain to you what you need to do. A lot of times people in ChampCar have never been to an HPD or anything. Some of them are sim racers, some of them not, but everybody's got to start somewhere. And it's a good way to get people to go. And so far I've had a ton of good feedback from it. A lot of teams are like, it really helped, and it gets new teams on track, and then it'll have them have a buddy system to have like, okay, your mentor is going to be at this track. You're going to be at this track. You're going to pit together. They're going to kind of hold your hand through registration, through pit stalls. Like there's so many little things that we do that we take for granted that we don't even think about, that a new team can fail at, that the mentor program can help. And I think it makes it an inviting atmosphere for new teams to come. You're like, all right, they're welcoming us, they're encouraging us, they're giving us help from senior people, because the mentors that we got are all like, they have 50 races, 100 races. They're people that have been doing it a long time and want to share their passion. That's where I started. I love racing, and you hear stories about people failing and you're like, well, if you just didn't do this, well, why'd you do that? Well, it looked good. The internet told me to. It's like, well, don't listen to the internet. So if you had somebody just giving you those little tips, because my thought is, if you have somebody that fails, like they come out to a race, if let's say somebody finally got there and they blow up in the first 2 hours, or they blow up at any time, or something happens, they might not come back and they might have a bad experience. So how do we make that bad experience a good experience?
Right.
And if you can, you're not going to solve everything, but if you could fix 9 out of 10 problems that are going to happen, then you don't have to worry about those things.
Right.
So it's more of a help the new guy into the series. And then that new guy, maybe in 3 to 5 years, will be a mentor and help the next new guy.
Yeah.
So I think it's in ChampCar, you want to foster the people that are your customers. You never want to lose a customer. That's just basic business 101. But our customer base is very small. So how do we get new customers?
Right.
With the rules and everything we have, transfer of others to us is hard, but we can go to them. So how do we get new teams in? And I thought this was a good way to try to help with that.
Right. I get that question all the time. People say, what do I do to go do what you do? And my first advice is always to go rent a seat for the first time. Rent a car, learn. The people who you rent a car from are going to teach you stuff that you'll never get a chance to learn anywhere else. And then I heard about this mentor program, and I thought it was a fantastic idea.
That's even jumping in at that. It's like, you got a big commitment to do before you even know you're going to do anything. You're like, I got to spend $1,500, $2,000 on gear and stuff, where like I have enough gear that's a little bit older that I could let people borrow and
Yep.
stuff. Maybe you have to buy a helmet and a helmet and a balaclava, but you can borrow Hans, you can borrow stuff. But
Yep.
my first thing is just come out to the track and hang out with the team.
Yep.
See the camaraderie, see how it goes, see how it is, and then you'll get hooked. It doesn't, you're gonna get hooked sooner or later. So you're gonna get hooked pretty quick by doing it. But that's how I would say introduce people to it. I mean, a lot of people want to just, they're like, hey, I've done some HPDs, I want to build a car. Okay, what car do you want to build? I want to build an E36 because I have one, or a Miata. Well, Miata is the answer to everything. But so unless you're super passionate about a certain platform, which a lot of people are, that's where I got into. I would never recommend an MR2 to anybody. Don't do it. Pick a Miata. So, but I think there's different avenues, and each person is going to be, that would be a mentor or mentee is different. And I try to match them up based on geographical location and based on what car. Like if you're building a E30, I'll try to find a mentor that's an E30 in your area if I have one.
Right.
So they would know the pitfalls. And usually I've gotten pretty lucky so far where we haven't had somebody that's had something really obscure where they're trying to build something crazy.
Yes. No one comes up to you and says, I'm building an Opel GT, right?
Well, I'm gonna say we don't have a mentor for that because you're crazy. But now we have them for that. We can find somebody that has issues. I mean, I'd call up Bill and be like, Bill, you know any good builders that know an Opel GT? It's like you knew somebody in where in Texas or something, and I try to get them that way.
Yeah.
Can I give you a suggestion, Troy, on what not to do with the mentor program?
Sure, please.
Yeah, don't let Bill be a mentor.
No, we know that.
He's not.
Okay, good.
Not. No.
He's not.
Very good.
You should see that there's a funny rule that I had when I was racing, which made me successful. Is I knew what Bill did, and I just did the opposite.
Nice.
Like if Bill's like, I want to put this transmission in my car. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to. So, there is some truth in that, Bill. You know there is.
No, I know there is. I know there is.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
But he does take my advice sometimes.
By not doing the advice.
No.
I do.
Yes.
When it's good advice, it's just rare.
Yeah.
He's like, here's my advice. And I'm like, is it? He's like, well, Bill Riley told me to do it. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to listen.
Yeah.
That's good. All right. Do you have one more good Bill story before we go?
Good Bill story.
It's not about Bill.
Oh, Jesus. How many are there?
Yes, it is. It's always about you, Bill.
Okay. Here's a good one. Here's one that still irks me a little bit. It's going to be in a little track in Utah called Miller Motorsports Park. So, you know where I'm going, Bill. So we go all the way out there, which is, I mean, it's like a 20-something hour drive. So we get all the way out there. His car, it's been sitting. It's like a last minute deal. He's like, you want to come out and try this new track? I'm like, new track? Sure. You had me at new track because I like to do new tracks. So we go all the way out there, and in the pits, we're trying to set it up because Bill has this little issue. Like, you know how most people go to the track and they want their car ready? Nah. Bill on Friday, Bill wants to do a lot of work on his car because he never gets it done. So we're obviously doing a lot of work. And in the pits, the fuel pump is whining, like really loud. You know, when fuel pumps whine really loud, they're going to go bad. That's just, that. So I'm like, Bill, this fuel pump is whining really loud. He's like, no, that's just what it sounds. I'm like, I have an MR2, same engine. I use that World War pump, and it never sounds like that. He's like, no, it's fine. I'm like, no, it ain't fine. So we had an argument. Him as team leader wins the argument. So we're going to race it as is. On the formation lap, not even green flag, halfway through the formation lap.
Wait. So I'm also doing ChampCar Live. So I'm standing up in the flagger stand. I've got my team radio. I've got the radio for ChampCar, and I'm live. I'm doing a report. Okay, the cars have left pit lane. They're going down. They're doing this and that. And then I hear Troy come over the radio, and he's not happy. Go ahead.
So I'm like, Bill, and there may have been maybe a curse word or two.
5.
I don't know. of interaction from me to him. But yeah, I was mad, and I'm a little Italian guy, so those words come out sometimes. It just happens.
Yeah.
So I didn't even make a half a lap on there because it was something that I knew and he wouldn't even listen. So I was like, dang it. And then we had other issues, this, that, and the other thing. And then axle this, and which are common issues on the MR2s, but axle issue and stuff like that. So we ran maybe 8 or 10 hours. I did get some fun time on the track though.
No, we ran more
so
now. No, I think we
but-
ended up quitting early. Like midnight. I think the two other
Yeah,
guys.
because we had like, we blew up, I think we blew up an axle and then another axle or something. I don't remember.
Yeah, it was the fuel pump clogged up with the paper from the filters that had set in gas for a year and a half, and then the for 18 months or whatever it was, and then the axle tip broke, and that I hate it when that happens, and that caused a bunch of other things to get broke. We didn't have any hubs break; it was all the axle tip. We got that done. And then the guys went, oh, and then I think it was like 2 or 3 in the morning, and the guys were like, that right or left rear is starting to make a lot of noise. And it ended up being the CV joint was like eating itself up. So we just parked it, put it in the trailer. I don't think I touched it for like a year, and I went out there, and there were blooms all over inside my trailer from the dust. It's so dry out there, all the whatever spores or whatever, when they finally hit the Virginia humidity, they bloomed. So my trailer was really bad for like
good stuff.
But yeah, that was a fun time.
Yeah that was fun. Bill's still standard answer is he's got a lot of work to do, and so he'll come home from a race, leave it in the trailer for 3 months, and then about 2 weeks before the race, he'll pull it out and start working on it then.
That sounds like Bill.
Yeah. I think a big part of the problem is that this is a little known fact, but Bill can't type. He doesn't know how to type like a normal person. He types with only 2 fingers, so he's really slow. So maybe if he learned how to type, he would be faster at work and have time to work on his cars.
There you go.
Hey, you guys make fun of me for my typing, so yeah.
There you go. Troy Truglio, Biohazard Racing, thanks for coming on and giving us some insights about the whole reason you were actually here, which was the mentor program. But we love the slice of life that you provide and giving us a little insight about my fearless sidekick, Bill, here.
Oh, I'll get him back. Don't worry.
All right.
Oh, he will. It's all good. That's what's fun.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to check in on what's coming up next on the Champ Car schedule. We'll do that right after this break. You're listening to Inside Champ Car on the Racing Wire Podcast Network.
Inside Champ Car is a podcast that takes a deep dive into all things going on with the Champ Car Endurance Series. Hosted by veteran journalist, radio host, and racer Brian Belansky and Champ Car's very own Bill Strong, we talk to drivers, team bosses, tech gurus, and series supporters. Episodes air every week in time for you to listen on your way to the track. Inside Champ Car is on the Racing Wire Podcast Network, found on Apple, Spotify, Google, and most popular podcasting apps.
Welcome back to Inside Champ Car. I am Brian Belansky. He is
Wrong.
And we
remembered it this time.
Yeah, you remembered your name. That's a step up. That's a step up. What a great
a lot during that last session.
That's true. That's true. It was like a roast.
Should have been about Troy, not Bill.
Well, no, but that's now fun. Because there's nothing. Troy's a good guy who knows what he's doing. It's much more fun to pick on you.
Oh, he's loving it.
I'm sure he is.
Yeah.
All right, so up next for Champ Car, it's got a couple weeks off. Yep. Almost a month, I think, right?
I'm headed to the Keys at some point. Basically, it's my wife says, hey, go.
Fins to the left, fins to the right?
Yep, something like that. I guess that's how the song goes.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And
I got a story to tell you about that I can't tell you on the podcast.
That's the podcast after dark.
Exactly. I love. We should do one of those ones.
After dark.
ChampCar After Dark. So Virginia VIR 24, the second in the summer of 24s.
We have 66 cars signed up.
Cool.
For the VIR race, lots of big names in that one.
Cool.
And lots of teams. And of course, Bill Riley and some guy named Keating. I guess they're competing or they're involved in it. One of them's involved in it. The other one's competing. I don't know which way it went. That was a couple of weeks ago we did that one.
So my task for you between now and that is to get Ben Keating on the show.
Yeah, we're going to work on that.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, I've started writing his fan club and posting little pictures with little hearts, and saying, "Hey, Ben."
I think. Hold on a second. I might be able to just call him.
Yeah, well, I can too.
Yeah, I could just call him.
Yeah. It's more fun doing the lead in. Come on, man.
Oh, okay.
Way my fun.
I love it when I can actually pull out my phone and put it in there. Like, oh, I can actually just call him. That's cool. So, how many after the longest day? How many teams are already signed up who would be eligible for the big prize? And have you heard about any teams who did Nelson who weren't signed up who are now like, oh, we're going to go after this thing at VIR?
Well, they can only go after it if they participated in Nelson.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Are there any teams that were at Nelson who might not have been planning to go to VIR who are now planning to go to VIR because they might be able to win?
Let me see. Well, Atlanta Speedworks they're in second.
Okay.
Let's see. Crash. Yeah, there was one team. It was they were thinking about it.
Okay.
The sponsor for last weekend, which is was it Money Shift Racing?
Yep. Okay.
So they had mentioned doing it. So I'm gonna call them out. I said, dude, you have to do it. You have to go. You can turn that car around. You got to actually. They had it running really, really fast towards the end of the race.
Is that Mazda?
Honda.
Oh yes. That Honda was freaking fast.
Yes. And I think it has enough to beat the E30s. I mean, Huggins won the last three races with two different cars. The last three VIR 24s.
Cool.
And I think they have a chance of bringing them down. So there's a lot of people, good, bad, and the ugly. If they can hold that Corvette together, they can beat them. Honda of America is going to be there with some new cars. So
nice.
there's a car that can do it. NLS, they can always win with that 240 SX.
Right.
They've done quite well there. They just have to keep it together.
And I have to imagine RVA Graphics is going to be there, right?
Yes, RVA and also Visceral will be back with their cars.
Okay.
So it's there's a lot. Even Atlanta Speedworks, man, they did actually pretty well this past weekend.
Yeah. That's
I mean, there's a whole list of folks on there that can do well at this race. So,
cool.
Yep, we do it. We go there, and then I think the following weekend, we are at Gingerman.
Nice.
So this is the one time that yes, I do head out for Gingerman the following week. I did that one year, and it was like a week too early. I got like 3 hours down the road and had to turn back. Felt silly.
It's funny when we can pick on you, but when you actually pick on yourself is even better.
I told you my fear is showing up at the wrong track. It's that
gosh.
Walter, what's his name? I forget, NASCAR driver did that Napa commercial where he's talking about how great the track is, and
was that Michael Waltrip?
Yeah, Michael. Yeah. I'm at the wrong track. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's my fear.
All right.
Yep.
So we'll talk a lot more about Virginia over the next couple of weeks.
Oh yeah.
And we got time. We're gonna have some folks on. We'll get you all up to speed for that. One of my favorite places in the world. I mean, I was there for the reopening weekend.
Yeah, I was there that weekend too.
Oh, and we didn't even know each other.
That was 2000. What's it? 2000? Yeah.
Yeah.
2001. I forget.
Yeah, I made the trek down from New York City. And I was living in
big deal, man.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. And I did a bunch of ALMS races back when that was a thing.
It's changed so much from back then, though.
I know. The oak tree's gone, but I'm a little sad about that. But
I really like that. And I still tend to take oak tree like like the old days. You don't do that anymore. But usually the first lap I go out, it's my muscle memory wants me to taking it the same, and it's like, oh no, you can't do that. But yeah, we have a lot to talk about. We a lot of folks we're going to talk to, a lot of things we're going to talk about. I think we're going to lead in with some heat advisories. Just the safety aspect of what you're going to be doing for 24 hours. And
you think that it could be warm in Virginia in August?
It tends to be.
Okay.
Yes.
That's shocking to me. Actually, it's not.
Weird.
But I love
like England,
All right. Anything else before we head out?
That's it, man.
All right. That's going to do it for another episode of Inside ChampCar. If you like what you heard, subscribe to the podcast so you won't miss any episodes. It would also be great if you share it on your social media channels. Comment on the ChampCar Facebook page. Even if it's a bad one, we'll take that. We will take constructive criticism. If you want to hear the new episodes every week, we'll tell you about it there as well. Bill Strong is my fearless compadre. I'm Brian Polanski, and this is the Racing Wire Podcast Network.